So, was this actually just a massive mistake? Or was it something way darker that we all should have seen coming? Think about that for a second. When Carl Webster pulled that trigger, or, well, when that gun went off while everyone was scrambling to survive, was it a tragic accident, or was it just the natural end for a guy who is basically a professional at being awful? We've seen plenty of bad guys walk onto the cobbles over the years, but Carl isn't your average villain. He's like a walking disaster zone for his own family tree. Honestly, are we watching the final moments of a character we all love to hate, or is the real mess just getting started? To really get why things are so crazy right now, we have to look at the absolute wreckage Carl has left behind him. This isn't just a guy with a few secrets. This is a man who had an affair with his own brother's wife, left Tyrone Dobbs for dead in a hit and run, and then did something so psychologically twisted it's hard to even talk about. He gaslit his own mother into going to prison for him. Just imagine the level of ego you need to let your own mom, who is literally struggling with dementia, go to jail for a fatal car crash you caused. When you really dig into it, you realize Carl operates purely on a survival instinct that doesn't include any room for empathy. He didn't just let Debbie take the blame. He actively manipulated her fading memory to save his own skin. It's proof that to Carl, people are just things to be used and thrown away. This is why his redemption was never going to work. You can't build a new life on a foundation made of lies like that. Then you've got Fiona Morley. When she showed up again, she didn't just bring some dodgy work. She brought the spark that finally blew Carl's life up. Fiona is basically the ghost of Carl's criminal past. She knows exactly how to push his buttons because they both live in a world where right and wrong don't exist. When she offered him $1,000 for faking some MOTs, Carl didn't see a risk. He saw a way out because he'd already burned every bridge with his family, and I think Carl took that job because he honestly can't handle a normal life. When Kevin refused to give him a job reference, it wasn't just a no. It was a trigger. It told Carl that the good world was never going to let him back in. In his head, being a criminal isn't a choice anymore. It's his way of hitting back at a family he thinks failed him, even though he's the one who betrayed them first. Deep down, I bet Carl is terrified. All that smarm and acting like he's better than everyone, that's just a shield. He knows he's one bad move away from losing everything. When he told Ryan Connor that Debbie would always pick him over anyone else, he wasn't just bragging. He was trying to convince himself that he still has power over the one person whose love he turned into a weapon. He thinks he's entitled to her loyalty, but he hasn't done a single thing to earn it. The way I see it, the relationship between Fiona and Carl is like looking in a mirror. Fiona doesn't care about Carl getting his life together. She only cares about the profit sharing, and that's the only language Carl really speaks. It's a dark little fantasy where they think they're untouchable, even while the walls are literally closing in on them. Can we talk about how he tried to scam Debbie for £10,000 when he only owed Fiona $5,000? That is the ultimate proof that this guy cannot be fixed. It wasn't enough to just get the money to pay his debts. He had to squeeze an extra $5,000 out of his mother's illness. It's honestly gross. I totally agree with Debbie's choice to finally tell him she was done with him. The psychology here is just classic parasitic behavior. Carl doesn't see Debbie as a mother. He sees her as a bank. His ego is so massive that he thinks he can keep lying even when people like Ronnie find the actual proof of what he's doing. He uses love like cash, faking a relationship just to keep his hand in her pocket, and then things got even darker with those brakes. Carl decided to mess with the brakes on Kevin's car. That wasn't just a crime. It was cold-blooded sabotage against the one person trying to hold him accountable. Why did he do it? Because he was mad that Kevin took back the £2,000 Debbie gave him. In Carl's twisted head, if he doesn't get the money, Kevin has to pay with his life. It shows his anger is always way over the top for whatever insult he thinks happened. Kevin is clearly coming from a place of massive betrayal here. He's got his own secrets, like lying about his cancer recovery just to keep Bobby close, but Carl is the thing that finally makes him snap. When Kevin saw the video of Carl under that car, it wasn't just anger. It was the realization that he was living with a monster. The fact that Carl almost got crushed by the very car he was messing with is the kind of irony you usually see at the end of a movie. It was like a final warning from the universe, and he just ignored it. Instead of changing, He immediately started looking for ways to blackmail Tyrone. He is always looking for a way to put someone else in his crosshairs that I honestly think Kevin should have gone to the cops the second he saw that footage. I get that Ronnie wanted to bury the hatchet for Debbie's sake, but how do you negotiate with someone who tried to kill you over $2,000? Kevin's choice to go after him with a wrench was dangerous, sure, but can you really blame the guy for finally losing it? Carl's amnesia about the whole car accident is just a classic move to avoid being a victim while he hunts for leverage. He's a predator, plain and simple. Now, let's talk about that gun showdown. Fiona didn't just come back with work, she came back with a weapon. When Carl pulled that gun on Kevin, everything changed on the cobbles forever. He pulled it because he was cornered. Kevin was coming at him, and Carl, who usually hides in the shadows, had to use force. He didn't expect Ronnie or Tyrone to be there, and he definitely didn't expect Kevin to think the gun was a fake. Ronnie was the only one trying to be smart, and you could feel how terrified he was. He knew Carl was a loose cannon, but he also knew that if anything happened to Carl, it would destroy Debbie. The gun is the ultimate endpoint for Carl's crimes. He went from shady car dealer to armed and dangerous in one conversation. The garage, which is usually just a place where people work, became a kill zone just because he was there. I think Kevin was being incredibly reckless. Thinking a gun is fake when it's held by a guy who already tried to kill you? That's a gamble no one should ever take. Ronnie trying to grab it was the only thing he could do, but that's exactly what caused the disaster. That shot being fired is the sound of a family finally breaking for good. Kevin's ego wouldn't let him back down, and Carl's desperation wouldn't let him give up. It's a clash of two men trying to protect what they think is theirs, and we have to talk about Debbie. Her dementia is heartbreaking, and it's being used as a weapon against her. When she woke up from that nightmare about the gun, she wasn't just dreaming, she was reliving the trauma her son put her through. Her health is getting worse so fast because of the stress Carl brings into her life. The confusion over a flower order or a gender reveal balloon isn't just a medical symptom, it's a sign her mind can't handle the reality of what's happening. When that balloon popped and she thought it was a gunshot, it showed just how deep the garage drama scarred her. There's something so sad about Debbie just staring vacantly after a fight with Carl. She's losing her grip on everything, and the one person who should be helping her is the one making it worse. She wants to believe he can be better. That's why she was practicing dance steps with him, but reality always hits her eventually. I think that girls' trip she tried to plan was just a desperate attempt to feel normal again. But of course, Carl ruined it by trying to extort money from Summer over Billy's life insurance. He is like a shadow that follows her everywhere. I really think Ronnie needs power of attorney right now. Debbie can't protect herself from a guy like Carl anymore. Watching her try to forgive him while he's literally planning his next scam is painful, because we all know there's no happy ending here. It's basically elder abuse dressed up as love. He knows her memory is failing, so he just rewrites the truth to fit whatever he needs that day. He counts on her being a mom to bail him out, even while her brain is literally being stripped away by a disease. Then there's the other secret, Kevin's lie about the cancer. This is such a fascinating parallel to what Carl is doing. Kevin lied because he was scared of losing Abby. He saw the attraction between her and Carl and decided the only way to keep her was to pretend he still needed her to take care of him. It's a different kind of manipulation, but it's still manipulation. Kevin is terrified. He's a guy who defines himself by being strong, and cancer took that away. When Carl found out about the all clear and used it as blackmail, he hit Kevin exactly where it hurt most. Kevin's whole world could be gone in an instant, not just because of Carl's crimes, but because of his own fear. This secret for a secret standoff between the brothers is the absolute peak of the drama. Carl has fake MOTs and a gun, and Kevin has a fake medical status. They are both living on borrowed time. Their relationship is basically in pieces because neither of them can be trusted anymore. I think Tyrone was 100% right to call Kevin out for lying to Abby. Lies in a marriage are like rust in a car. They just eat away at the structure until everything collapses. And the fact that Carl is the one to expose the truth makes it feel even worse. It should have been a celebration that Kevin is healthy, but instead, it's a weapon. Kevin's lie comes from a place of deep insecurity. He thinks he isn't enough for Abby unless she needs to look after him. And Carl, being the predator he is, smelled that fear and used it to protect his own criminal life. The tension isn't just simmering anymore, it's an absolute fire. Carl has been caught faking MOTs, nearly crushed by a car, and threatened with a wrench, but he still takes a call for more work from Fiona. He is literally addicted to the chaos. The second that gun went off, any hope for a quiet life was gone. Whether the bullet hit someone or not, Carl's future is hanging by a thread. We can see how it's affecting everyone. Even the kids at the precinct are getting caught up in the violence Carl brings to the street. Debbie's nightmare is becoming everyone's reality. The question isn't if things will get worse. It's just a matter of how many people are going to get hurt when Carl finally hits the bottom. So, what happens when a guy with nothing to lose gets a weapon? I'm predicting we're headed for a massive whodunit storyline. Carl has burned so many people that the list of suspects is basically the whole cast. Kevin, Ronnie, Tyrone, and maybe even a totally broken Debbie all have reasons to want him gone. I honestly think Carl's time on the cobbles is almost up, but I don't think he's going out alone. The actor, Jonathan Howard, mentioned he wants to stay until the dementia storyline ends, which tells me Carl is going to be the reason for Debbie's final breakdown. We might see him try one last big score with Fiona Morley that goes totally wrong. Maybe some kind of stolen car scheme that leads right back to the garage. The long-term result? I think the Webster and Bailey alliance is finished. Ronnie and Kevin's plan to frame Carl has already caused a huge rift, and that secret about Kevin's cancer is a ticking time bomb for his marriage with Abby. We're probably looking at a massive court case or a funeral by the end of the year. What do you guys think? Is Carl Webster the most irredeemable character we've ever seen? Or does his mom's dementia give him some kind of tragic excuse for how he acts? Like, do you think he actually cares about her at all, or is she just a tool to him? And if you were Kevin, would you have pulled that wrench on him? Or would you have just used the all-clear secret to try and walk away from the drama? I really want to know your thoughts on this because it's such a mess. Anyway, if you enjoyed this deep dive into the absolute train wreck that is the Webster family right now, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the channel out. And definitely subscribe and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of our breakdowns on the latest Coronation Street spoilers. There is so much more coming with the Fiona Morley return and the aftermath of that gunshot, and you're going to want to be here for all of it. So, let's talk about the one person on the cobbles that nobody expected to actually stand up to Carl Webster. It's a wild thought, right? We're looking at Debbie Webster, a woman who's been through the absolute ringer and is currently facing the biggest fight of her life with a dementia diagnosis. But the big question we're all asking is, could she actually be the one to finally stop Carl? I mean, think about it. Everyone else has tried and failed. Kevin tried to confront him with a wrench and ended up staring down the barrel of a gun. Ronnie and Kevin tried to frame him, and that blew up in their faces before it even started. But Debbie? She has a connection to him that no one else has. She's his mother, and in the twisted world of Carl Webster, that might be the only thing that could actually reach him, or the thing that finally pushes her over the edge. The funny thing is, we used to think of Debbie as this tough-as-nails businesswoman who could handle anything. But then Carl showed up, and he didn't just walk into her life. He systematically dismantled it. We have to look back at the absolute horror of what he did to her to understand why her stopping him would be the ultimate justice. This guy literally dragged his own mother from the passenger seat to the driver's seat after a car crash, just so she would take the fall for him. He let her go to prison for over 2 years for a death he caused, the death of Billy Mayhew, while he just walked around free. That is a level of cold-blooded betrayal that you usually only see in Shakespearean tragedies. And the worst part? He gaslit her while she was already struggling with the early stages of dementia. He used her own fading memory as a weapon against her. Honestly, how do you even begin to forgive something like that? But here's where it gets interesting. Even after all that, when Debbie got out of prison, she still wanted to believe in him. She even gave him £2,000 just to try and help him start over, though she told him to leave and never come back. She was trying to protect her heart while still being a mother. But Carl? He couldn't even do that. He took the money and immediately started sabotaging Kevin's garage. It's like he has this internal compass that only points toward destruction. I often wonder if he even knows how to be a normal human being, or if the shadows are the only place he feels at home. Well, think about the recent drama with the 10,000 pounds. This was a massive turning point for Debbie. Carl came to her all smarmy, pretending he'd forgiven her for lying about being his biological mother, just so he could fleece her for cash to pay off Fiona Morley. He told her he needed 10 grand, but Ronnie, thank God for Ronnie, did some digging and found out the debt was only 5 grand. Carl was literally trying to make a 50% profit off his mother's illness. When Debbie found out, something in her finally snapped. She told him she was done. For a woman like Debbie, done usually means done. But with her dementia, can she actually stay done? That's the heartbreak of this storyline. When you see them together, like when they were practicing those dance steps in the hotel restaurant, it's just devastating. For a second, she looks so happy. She's finding joy in her son. But we, the audience, know he's just a snake, as Ryan Connor put it. He's just playing a part to keep his access to her bank account. Do you think he feels even a flicker of guilt when he sees her struggling? Or is his ego so massive that he thinks he deserves her money as compensation for his life? I tend to think it's the latter. He feels entitled to everything she has, including her sanity. The psychological layer here is so deep. Debbie is fighting a battle on 2 fronts. She's fighting her own brain as it deteriorates, and she's fighting a parasitic son who is feeding off her remaining resources. Some fans are actually starting to wonder if the only way this ends is with Debbie taking him out herself. There was this one fan theory that said the only thing better than Todd killing Theo would be Debbie killing Carl. It sounds dark, but in the world of soaps, the most poetic justice is often the most violent. Could you imagine a scene where she has an episode and doesn't realize what she's doing until it's too late? Or maybe she realizes exactly what she's doing because she knows it's the only way to save the rest of her family. We've already seen how the gun drama at the garage has affected her. She wasn't even there when the shot went off, but she's reliving it in her nightmares. The stress is literally making her dementia worse. When that gender reveal balloon popped at the hotel and she thought it was a gunshot, it was a clear sign that her mind is at its breaking point. She's terrified, and fear is a powerful motivator. If she feels like her life or the lives of people she loves, like Ronnie or Kevin, are in danger, she might find a strength she didn't know she still had. But then you have to look at Carl's side of things. He is becoming more dangerous by the minute. He's back in cahoots with Fiona Morley, faking MOTs for $1,000 a pop. He's got a gun now. He's not just a dodgy car dealer anymore. He's an armed criminal who has already shown he's willing to kill his own uncle by messing with his brakes. The stakes have never been higher. And the irony is that Ronnie and Kevin's attempt to protect Debbie by framing Carl actually made things worse because it pushed him further into Fiona's orbit. They tried to handle it the manly way, but maybe the motherly way is the only thing left. What's really interesting is that the actor who plays Carl, Jonathan Howard, said he wants to stay until the dementia storyline plays out. He thinks it's important for Carl to come to terms with what's happening to his mom. But does Carl come to terms with things by being better or by being worse? Every time he's had a chance to choose the right path, he's squandered every single one. He's a man who responded to a second chance by attempting murder. So, I'm not holding my breath for a redemption arc here. I think we're heading for a tragedy. The big question is, how does she stop him? Does she stop him by finally cutting him off financially for good? If she makes Ronnie her power of attorney, like fans are hoping, she could effectively lock Carl out of her life. But Carl doesn't take no for an answer. He's already proven he'll use blackmail like he did with Kevin's cancer, all clear secret, to get what he wants. He'll find a way to twist the knife. So, financial stopping might not be enough. Maybe she stops him by being the one to turn him in? She's already disgusted with him for trying to extort Summer over Billy's life insurance. Think about the layers there. He's trying to profit off the death of the man he killed by exploiting a grieving girl, using his mother's history as leverage. It's sickening. When she threw him out of the flat for that, it was a moment of pure moral clarity for her. If she can hold on to that clarity, she could be the witness that finally puts him away for a long, long time. But honestly, the most likely way she stops him is by being the catalyst for his ultimate downfall. Carl's biggest weakness is his belief that Debbie will always put him first. He's arrogant enough to think he's untouchable because of her love. If she finally withdraws that love, really withdraws it, he loses his shield. Without Debbie to hide behind, he's just another criminal on the cobbles that the police are already starting to ask questions about. I have to wonder, do you think she has it in her to truly let go of her son? It's the